one of the questions that I have is somebody asked about how to have Siri correct pronunciations. And there's a few different ways to do it. So I was trying it before this meeting here. And like I say, I'll show you what I found as the best way. But, using Siri is one way. I didn't have good luck with that. So you can actually add a field in contacts, a phonetic field. So I'll go over that. So yeah, Siri and I like her, but, for very basic, how did the Rams do? Kind of thing, football. Or how's the weather? Although it is funny, my wife is a big, she likes weather. Her dad, is a big weather nut. And so she's always like checking out the weather. What's the forecast? What's this, that, and the other? And our friend who was coming to visit us from a couple hours away, and, so what do? I'm like, well, the weather looks good. I got a window right here, so I take a picture. My forecast looks like it's clear. In Michigan, and I'm sure probably like that everywhere, but in Michigan, it's just like if you don't like the weather, wait an hour, it'll change, one of those things. So.
Over on this side of the state, Dan, we say you don't like the weather, wait 20 minutes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We don't have weather, we have samples.
Although I certainly wish it was summer, like in Melbourne. Is it Melbourne? Melbourne? How do you pronounce it? Melbourne. Oh, I have a good friend who is from Australia. Actually, she's here in the States now. So came here as a college. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well, let's get started here. I have let's see, I think about 20 different questions. So we're going to get started here and ran through them all, and hopefully I'll be able to answer most of them. A few of them I'll probably have to fumble around, but we'll see what we get here. So welcome everyone. I'm going to see if I can switch this slide here, and let's see here. Share screen. Give me a minute here to get situated. You're going to see some camera switching here. My green screen. There's my setup. And this might be USB. I have a few things plugged into my camera. There we go. All right. And let me resize this window. Enable. This is being recorded, so I plan on having it live on the site tomorrow. Also, I am live streaming this on YouTube, so people, if they come to the site, they can just kind of watch it. They can't interact and ask questions, but they can go through and at least watch it and see how this whole thing works, because the software that I'm using now allows me to live stream. So, welcome to my AMA. This is Ask Me Anything. And for the most part, the way that it works is when you register for the AMA, you have a field in the registration where you can ask questions, and then I kind of go through and hopefully help everyone out as best as possible. So let's get started here. And first, for those who are not familiar with who I am, I'll make this short because a lot of you are regulars here. And you have to hear this over and over and over. I'm Dan Wasink. What's that?
With a north.
Okay. I'm Dan Wasink, and is the audio delayed or anything? Does it?
No.
Okay, perfect.
Right.
So I'm Dan Wasink, owner, trainer, everything for dance tutorials, and I've been in the publishing arena for about 30 years. Most of it has been magazine publishing, but the last 10 years has been on the internet. And I've built my first internet site, 1995, for a magazine publishing company, in fact. And I also am a former Apple genius. So I get to put on my genius hat when with these AMAs, because basically, Apple trained us on how to answer questions. Our goal was to basically solve everyone's issues within 20 minutes, and that could be basically anything. So it allows me to do that here. And then I also work at a local school. I put in about 10 to 12 hours a week. It's just a part-time thing, about a mile away from here. They have about 1,000 Macs and iPads, maybe a little bit more. But primarily the reason why I do it is it gets me out of the office. And the two people that I do work with, the two tech people that are full-time there, they are former Apple geniuses as well. So it gets me back into, I worked with them at Apple, 10 plus years ago. And so it just it's fun for me to go in there and chit chat with them and help them out. And, so it also does bring about anything when people have problems. I can kind of see if there's any trends. When you're dealing with 1,000 different devices, Apple devices, it's probably 500 iPads and 500 Macs. You get to see trends, and you can see what's working and what's not working. And a perfect example is, is Monterey safe to update? Well, I can tell you we're doing it at the school, and we've got several hundred of them on Monterey, and it's fine. But I can use that knowledge and help other people as well. So I'm not just doing it off of my one, oh yeah, it's good, working fine on mine. It's actually working on several hundred, and it's fine. So that experience helps thereby, with these AMAs and things like that. I can also see what people are asking, and then it helps me create lessons and tutorials, which brings me to, if anyone does have a question, what I've been getting a lot lately is, people will email me questions, and if it's a question that I think, I think other people might want to know that, I've been creating videos on them, and one of them is what I just did was how to take a PDF and make it into a Word document or a Pages document. Someone just asked out of the blue, so I created a lesson on that. So when you have questions like that, email them to me, and if I feel like it's easy enough, and I'll create a lesson out of it, and it'll help everyone else too. So that's a good way to give me ideas. So, all right. So that's a little bit about me. We're going to go with how it works. So used to be ground rules, but I'm just going to call it how it works a little nicer. If you have any background noise, although I did learn last week how to mute everyone, I'm learning as well. But if you have any background noise, television, dog, phone, doorbell, anything like that, I'm going to ask you to please mute yourself. I do try to keep these a little bit more open, not so rigid where raise your hand and things like that, because I am a one-man operation. I'm watching everything here. I might miss you if you raise your hand in Zoom and things like that. So what I prefer is I got to open up my chat window. I do try to monitor the chat and the microphone kind of thing. So if you have a question and it is not related to the current topic, I have about 20 different questions here that we're going to be going through. If it's not necessarily related to that, I ask that you hold off until the end. I have a Q&A at the end, and then we can answer it then. I want to try to get through all these questions first. A couple weeks ago, I missed a few of them, and I feel bad about that, and I'm trying to figure out the best way of doing that. So let me get through these 20 questions, and then after that, we can kind of open it up. So, and someone chatted American Motorcycle Association. Interesting. And American Metal Association for AMA. Sorry, I went off track there. AMA actually came from Reddit. They have an Ask Me Anything, and basically what they would do is they would have celebrities or politicians or basically anyone, it could be someone that picks up the trash, and they would announce that they'd be on there, and then you could literally ask them anything, and it's kind of like a Dirty Jobs thing for anyone that's familiar with that show. I find what they do fascinating. Anything from teaching at schools to everyone has their own little thing. So that's where the Ask Me Anything came from, AMA, from Reddit. This is being recorded, and I do plan on having it live tomorrow. I've got a pretty good system set up here. It is going to be marked with chapters, so you'll be able to get to any specific topic just by selecting the chapter. So that is how it works. Let's get started, and we're going to take a look at the first question, which is, how do I transform a text document, a PDF document, into a Pages document? There are many tools that will do this for you, and some of them are paid. we use one I first learned about these tools when I worked at the school, but someone just asked this week. So I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll create a lesson on it and I put it on the site. But I'm just going to run through how you do it here. And it's basically the way that I do it is I do it through the web. It's all web-based. So we're going to go to my Mac here. And if we look, you're going to see I have here a PDF. This is something that I downloaded. What I would like to do is open this up in Pages. Well, Pages can open up a Word document. So basically what we have to do is we have to convert this PDF into a Word document.
Where's the PDF?
Right here on my desktop. Can you see my desktop?
Yeah.
I'll put it, let's see if it goes in the middle here. Oh, I'll put it in the middle. I'll turn my sort by off. That was another question that somebody had, so I turned it on. So it's this here is a PDF. And if I open that up, it's going to open up in preview, and you can edit a PDF. That's the whole idea behind it. When I worked in magazine publishing, we would have to convert the layout into a PDF, and we submit that PDF to the printer, and then they can do what they need to do with it. It's an uneditable copy, so you can create it and send it off to anyone, and the idea is you can't edit it. Well, what the creator of the PDF, Adobe, what they have is a free conversion tool. You can actually convert this into a document, into a Word document. It does a pretty good job. The person that actually asked this, they had over 200 pages that they had to do, and she emailed me, or he emailed me, and said it worked great. So I'm very happy about that. It all depends on the document type. This document, I haven't done this one yet, but we can see that this document here is relatively simple. It's a little text heavy, which is where these converters work really, really well. If it's laid out with a lot of graphics and all that, you are going to have to do some pretty good tweaking, but it does still work. So how do we do that? Basically, what I would recommend doing is using Adobe's converter. It's free. So you search for Adobe PDF to Word and converter. And you're going to see a number of different results here. And one of them here is from Adobe. That's one that we want to use. Again, there are a number of them that work. I just like this one. You're going to the people that created PDFs, and it's free. Now the thing is if they allow you to do it for free one time, where you don't have to log in, but after that one time, they ask you to sign in. It's a free membership. You do have to sign in after you convert one file. So you don't have to pay for it. Like I say, it's a free account. So what I'm going to do, since I've already converted a file, what you can do is open this up in an incognito or private window. So basically that's what I did here. This is a private window. So now, as far as Adobe is concerned, I haven't been here before. That's the whole idea with a private window. And now all I have to do is take this file here and drag it on here. And we can see it is uploading it. It doesn't take too long. It's converting it. And then once it converts it, we download it, and it's a docx file, basically a Microsoft Word. You're going to see my file is ready here. So I click on download. It's in my downloads here, so let's go ahead and close this. And now when I open it up, you're going to see it says docx, so it converts it into a Word document, but being that I use Pages, Pages does open up a Word document, and there is this document. Let's make it a little bit smaller here, and you're going to see it does a pretty good job. I'm sure it's going to take some tweaking, but it does really a pretty good job. And this is a Word document now, or a Pages document. I can go in here and edit and change the font and all kinds of stuff. It's basically someone just typed it out in Word. So that's really all there is to converting a document, a PDF document. I would dare say you could, I didn't try this, but I think you'd be able to do this on the iPad as well, because it does it all online. As long as you have that PDF, you upload it to Adobe, their little converter tool, and then you download it, and you can open it up in Pages. So that's how you can easily convert a PDF into a Word document or a Pages document.
Dan,
Yeah,
a quick question.
go for it.
That's a kind of a neat tool. But I noticed that you moved the PDF document to the center of your desktop
Yeah.
because it was sticking over on the side. And I missed that, how you got it to not be.
I'll go over that because that's actually one of the questions. Somebody asked that, so we'll come to
Okay,
that.
good. Okay, I have it too. Okay.
Yep. Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So what is next? This one is actually regarding more something with my thing. I have a recap newsletter, which I have to create for January's, but basically these newsletters are for members, and they contain every video that I put out for the previous month. So as an example, I need to create January's, and it's going to include every lesson in an EPUB. I do this in Pages, and then you can open it up in the Books app, and you can watch all of the videos from January. And you can download these from, if I go back over to my Mac here, if you go to my site, I'm not logged in, so you're not going to see all of it here. But if I go to Recap here, I'm going to work on it this weekend because I can do it while I'm sitting in front of the TV. It's pretty easy to do for me. So basically, you just download one of these files here, and you can open up in the Books app, and then you can watch all of the videos. So I believe the question is, how can you make the make the videos larger, or I'm assuming maybe the text larger too. So I'm going to open up. Here's one of my recaps that I created. If I open it up, it opens up in the Books app here, which means it opens up on the iPad, the iPhone, as well as the Mac. And now,
so basically, you just download one of these files here, and you can open up in the Books app, and then you can watch all of the videos.
exactly.
So I believe the question is, how can you make the videos larger, or I'm assuming maybe the text larger too?
Okay, so the older, that's what I was wondering if it was. So when you make a PDF, for those that were members or attended I had a class on how to make an EPUB, and basically there's two different ways to make an EPUB. That's what these are. These are called EPUBs, or books. You can make them a fixed layout or where it floats. I used to make them in a fixed layout. And the problem with a fixed layout, the advantages of a fixed layout is...
So the older, that's what I was wondering if it was.
Yep.
So when you make a PDF, for those that were members or attended I had a class on how to make an EPUB. And basically, there's two different ways to make...
Oh, I'm hearing a delay. I'm hearing myself talk.
Very confusing.
Yeah. All right, let me, I'm wondering if it's somebody's, I'm going to mute here. I thought it was somebody else talking. Let's see here. Chat. Let me... mute all. Okay, so I muted everyone. So if you have something, it must be coming through on someone. So you'll have to unmute yourself if you have a question. We're all good? Okay. So start over. These are EPUBs, and there's two different ways you can make an EPUB. You can make them with a fixed layout. And this is where you can have everything right in its spot. You can place very, very technical, like I want this right here, and it is not going to move. Or you can make it like a Word document where it will flow freely. Well, the advantages of the fixed layout is you can make it exactly how you want, and it doesn't move. The disadvantages is you can't make anything bigger because it's fixed. So that's how I was making my EPUBs earlier. So you couldn't make the text size larger. You couldn't do any of that. So I tweaked it a little bit. I think it might have been in October and November. And now what you are able to do is make the text size larger just by going up to the A here, and you can see the text size is getting larger. So that could be part of what this person was talking about. In older versions of my recap, you can't do that. Now in the newer ones, you can. But the other thing is, we'll get to a video here. So, all right, let's see here. There we go. I have to allow the internet to access my Books app. And now what I'm able to do is view the videos. So this video here, if I want to make it, I'm going to turn my volume down here. If I want to make this take up the entire book, what I do is I just click on, it should. Oh, okay, I'm going to look into this. I thought you could make this. Your browser doesn't support full screen. Okay. Let me look into that. I got to make my next recap, so I'll play around with that. I should have tested that out. I just made some assumptions there. So I don't have a good answer for that yet. Maybe next week I will. But you can at least make the text larger.
Safari? Was it Safari that did that?
Yeah, but it was coming in on the Books app, so it was an embedded browser, so I'm wondering if it was something to do with that. Maybe in the Books app you can't make it full. I thought that you could. I'm pretty sure you can, but I'm going to look into that and see what's going on there. All right.
Dan, I have a question then, since you bring up books.
Yeah.
I never use it, okay? It is on the iPad, but
Yeah.
I never use it.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, could you repeat that again? So if you go in your recaps, but apparently other things that you would go into, you would have to go into books?
No, I mean, you could actually open up this EPUB in a Kindle if you wanted to. You wouldn't be able to view the video. EPUB is a open standard, so there's all kinds of apps that will open up EPUBs. The Books app is just what I use because it's part of Apple, and you put it in there, and if you use an iCloud and you have other Apple devices, it'll just sync right across all those other devices. So you could start watching a video on your iPad, you're done with it, you open it up on your iPhone, and it'll go to the next page, kind of thing. But no, EPUB is not a Mac only, anything like that. It's open source. A lot of apps can open it up. If you go into the App Store and you search EPUB, you'll find a lot of apps that will open it.
So I think what you're saying is that any online magazine, book, or whatever that's published in EPUB, that's what will, if you click on it and you want to buy it or whatever, the only way you're going to be able to read it is going into the Books app. Is that correct?
No, if it's so when I create a book in Pages, I create these in Pages, I can export it out as an EPUB, perfect. I can export it out as a book, that means you're going to have to pay for it. It puts copyright protection and all that, DRM on it and all that. So it all depends, it's up to the author. So it's, you can.
I guess what I'm referring to, like Barnes & Noble or something, I think you can go and you can get
Yeah.
books. If I do, can I open it immediately or no? I have to go to books.
Well, it's a document. So think an EPUB is just, you have a Word document. You can't read that Word document without opening it up in Word. You can't read that, or in another, you could open it up in Pages, you could open it up in Word, you can open it up in Open Office. That's what an EPUB, it's just a document. You need something to read it. In this case, you can use books, but you don't have to. You can use something else too.
And if you opened it up in the Books app, video, could you drag the video to the desktop?
No. Nope. Can't do that. Yep. It's with these formats. They're open. They're open, so they're not necessarily a standard in any way. And like one of the things people are saying, well, why don't you make them in a PDF? Because PDF, anything can open up a PDF, but a PDF you can't put a video in unless you buy a certain tool. Then you can put a video in it, but then you're going to need a certain tool to view that video. So it really gets, you can do whatever you want with all these documents, but the thing is you want to try to make it accessible for most people. In my case, or in a library's case, an EPUB is a good choice because as long as it doesn't have video in it, you're going to be able to open that up in Kindle, books, or countless other apps, or the Nook. Is that what the Barnes & Noble Nook, is that what it is? Yep. So that, I'm sure that opens up EPUBs as well. So you just won't be able to do the video. So
But not videos in it.
Right. Yep. Because those, you can't watch a video on a Kindle or a Nook, per se.
As far as enlarging the video to view, you could do that just by enlarging the Safari page that you're viewing it in.
Yeah.
And you could also turn on zoom and accessibility and enlarge the screen.
Yep. Yep.
So there's two ways you could do that.
And I think on the iPad, what you're able to do is double tap on the video and it will open it up in full screen. But let me check into that. So, all right. All right. Let's see what else we have here. Whenever I do any type of security update, upon restart, I lose my ability to get back into the software update. Basically, what Carmen is saying is she gets the rainbow and she can't do anything. So she's tried a few different things. She has, done the EMC thing and restarted it, and it works for a while, and then she'll do another update, and then it'll putz out again. This is one of those that I don't have a clear answer on. We see this at the school for a number of things. I talked earlier before we started how, I like Siri, but I don't use Siri because I get mixed results. I do the same thing with AirDrop. I get mixed results with AirDrop. And you know what always fixes it? Is a restart. So we tell our students that they should be restarting their computer, and I hate this, but they should be restarting their computer once a week. And the reason why I hate it is I just feel like these things should be able to be I know there's a lot going on with them. My thing is I like to see how long I can go without restarting it. But I have learned through the school that it fixes most problems, a restart. And
Okay.
with this,
And-
yeah?
Yeah, so I'm Carmen.
Oh, hi, Carmen.
So, no problem. Yes, so, okay. So that's interesting because like you, I've actually gone 30 days. I would restart it the first of the month.
Right.
Kind of thing. So I'll go in once a week. But this, if I've ever had math problems, it seems to be after I do an OS security update. In fact, Apple gave me a whole new computer because they couldn't fix kernel patches that I would get
Ooh, okay.
10, 12, 15 a day, restarts.
Yep.
So I guess the other question is, so I'll do an SMC and that, or the first time Apple had to do a first aid on the disk, and that seemed to first aid repair.
Yep.
When you go into utility. Okay. So my biggest question is then, no harm done here if this should happen. It's not like there's a problem with sectors in the hard drive and that.
No, I dare say it's probably just a software thing. And yeah, it's not, they can, Apple, I mean, I worked at Apple for 3 years. They have you run through a number of different things just by default. And, they still do it at the school. And I'll be honest, I know it must do some good, but those EMC, they would just go and do this and hold it down for a few seconds. That's the EMC update, and press a certain key. Pram is another one. I don't know if I've ever seen it fix anything, but these are the standard things that they have.
Setting the SMC
Yeah,
has helped.
SMC, that's it, yep.
Yeah, no question. And I agree with you. I always tell my people that I'm working with, the first line of defense is just
Restart.
iPhone, iPad, Mac.
Yep,
I mean, let's not spend 4 hours doing something that takes, 30 seconds.
right.
And, okay, as long as there's no harm done, because every time something like this happens, I sit there and go, I went to the Mac world from the Windows world 2 years ago, and I'm thinking, boy, I never had these problems with Windows.
Right.
Why am I having these problems with Macs?
Right. Yep,
And it wasn't cheap to go to Mac.
yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
no problem. And I'll add with my rule of thumb is if you have to do it a lot, okay, now something's going on. And when I say it a lot, it's kind of like what you were doing, or you see a pattern. I actually had it with beta software, so I was using the Mac OS Monterey beta for a while. And whenever I was playing around with iMovie for some odd reason, I play around with that application maybe once every 2 years, and I must have been trying something with it, and the thing crashed, and it crashed, and it crashed, over and over and over, and I was getting so frustrated. And then all of a sudden they came out with a new beta, fixed all the problems. I immediately removed the beta, and I'm no longer going on the betas.
Beta software is a whole different.
Yeah, right. But the point being is they it might fix in. Now you said you're using Catalina, right?
I am, and I will go to Monterey fairly soon. I have to start a very big project that's going to take about 15 days, and I just can't imagine that if I should have a problem updating,
Right.
I don't need that on top of getting this project
Correct.
done.
Good point.
I'm retired, but I still have a couple of part-time consulting things. Once I get through this, I will go to Monterey, and that probably will fix the problem.
Probably. Monterey is like snow leopard. To me, it feels like snow leopard. I think I said this a couple weeks ago. When Apple came out with Leopard, it was a little bit buggy. Big Sur, Catalina was a big jump forward. Although, so Catalina and Big Sur were, in all honesty, a little bit buggy, and Monterey seems to be much better. I think it was a lot of a bug fix kind of thing. So, but yes, it's a good thing to stick with it to get your projects done. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I can go right from Catalina to Monterey.
Yep,
obviously,
absolutely.
Without any in-betweens or anything.
Yep.
All right, well,
Cool.
All right, well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. All right, let's see what else we have here. So John asked, what are some of the best widgets, that are most informative? And this kind of it depends on what angle you are coming from. So I'm going to go to my iPad here. And, okay, so when we're looking at this, we all know, these are our widgets here. Or hopefully we all know that by now. They have them on the iPhone, and now they have them on the iPad. And basically what these widgets do is they allow us to, just view little snippets of information. In this case here, the weather, I can view the weather. So, what are the ones, and I play around with this on a regular basis. I overload my iPad, my personal iPad, with too many widgets, and at that point, what happens? You don't pay attention to them anymore. So, it's finding that balance of which ones are the most valuable or give you the most value without overloading you. So I think this is where John is coming from. And the ones that stick with me, I have 4 of them that are Apple, and then I have one that is not Apple. And one that is not Apple obviously all depends on what third-party apps you use. So the 4 that I do like are batteries. So when I go and add a widget in here, we just go up to the plus, and I can select any number of widgets here. There's one here that is batteries. The reason why I like batteries is I have I have an iPad, I have an iPhone, and I have AirPod Pros. So it's always nice. Apple Watch. Let's not forget about that. And basically, when you add this there, and you can see you have different sizes, this is the one that I use because I can get 4 different devices on there. I can just look at that widget and see what the status is of my devices. So that is one of my favorite ones. And really what it's coming in handy for lately is the Apple Watch. It's kind of funny. Maybe my brother put it in my head. I don't know. My Apple Watch is a year old now, and he said his Apple Watch is about a year old, and he goes, I can definitely tell that the battery is getting shorter on it. He used to be able to go a day and a half, 2 days without charging it, and maybe he put it in my head. Who knows? We all know how that goes, but basically I'm seeing the same thing. All of a sudden, it's just like I have to charge this thing every night. So now when I have my iPad, what I'm able to do is quickly check to see what the battery is. So I really like that. Another one is the calendar app. I do use the calendar app quite a bit. My wife and I do. I put all of my webinar events in there. I put, where anything that is a recurring subscription, I put in there, and then I have it remind me 7 days prior, so then I know that if I need to unsubscribe, I can do that ahead of time. And then Beth and I have our own schedule in there, so you have all your different things. So basically what I do here, go to the calendar, and I will select, this one here, and essentially drag it on there, and now I'm able to see, what's in my calendar. And you can change this calendar. You can actually add it in there 2 or 3 or 4 times. If I tap and hold on this, I can edit the calendar. And now what I'm able to do is, right now it's set for up next. I can hide all day events, which I don't care to see all day events. And now it's going to hide that. Depending on the widget size, you can actually, change what it shows there. So I like the calendar app for that. Gives me a glance of what is going on. The weather app, obviously. And then, although I do like to just look out the window. The Files app, I am growing more accustomed to the Files app and the file management. One of these days, Kevin will like this. It's in the back of my head. I'm going to have a class on file management. It's in my notes. But I need to understand it fully myself. But I'm learning how it all works on the iPad and the Mac and all that. It sounds simple enough, but as some of us heard, Kevin has some good questions with it, and it gets confusing on the iPad. And so much that I found a video with, actually Kevin has a question which we're going to get to, and Microsoft even has a video on how to do file management with Microsoft Word, because it's just it's different. So the Files app, what I like about that is, if I go and put the Files app in here, I'll just put this one in here. I can see, I do use iCloud exclusively, and what I can see are my recent files here. You can even change it by going to Edit Files, and instead of seeing recent, come on, you can do it. Try it again here. Anyway, when you tap and hold on this, it's not allowing me to do it. What you are able to do is select which folder you want to. I probably have to restart the iPad going on that, and it'll work. I guarantee that's what I would have to do. But basically, if you tap and hold on this and you go to Edit Files, there it is. What I can do is I can select what I want to see. So if I download a lot to my iPad, I can put downloads in here. Now what I'm looking at is all the files that I've downloaded. So that is coming in handy. I swap files back and forth to my Mac and my iPad because I truly do use my iPad probably 50% of the time, if not more. I've really become a fan of the iPad over the last year. But I like to access my files and all that. So the Files app is a nice thing on there. Outside of that, so those are my 4 apps that I like, that I personally like. Outside of that, I use an app called Things to help me keep organized. It's a project manager, really nice one. This is another one that eventually I'd like to do a lesson on because I've been using it for years and I think it's really nice. You're going to see I have Things here. And basically, you have all your projects here. You can see what you have to do today, what's upcoming, things like that. And every morning I'm trying to get in the habit of going through here and seeing what I have to do every day. Well, what you can do is add that Things as a widget. So here it is, and we're going to go with this one here, place it on there, and now just by looking at this widget, I can see what I have to do today. You can even go as far as, because you can schedule your projects. So if I go to Things here, we're going to go with a big one here. It's nothing planned. All right. So you can see they look the same there, but when I tap and hold on this one and I edit it, what I can do is I can say this one is upcoming. And now I don't have anything upcoming because this is my demo account, but basically I can see what is going on today. And then I can also see what is going on, upcoming without opening up the app. And then all I have to do to open up the app is click on it and it puts me there. So if I add, let's see here, we're going to add something to upcoming here. New, something to do, that's tomorrow. And eventually what we're going to say, there it is, something. And if I go back into things and let's go and add something for Saturday. And Saturday, something else. You're going to see Friday and Saturday there. So I use that just to kind of give me a snapshot of what's going on and to remind me, primarily for today, so I can get through my today list. So those are some of my favorite widgets, and I change this up on a regular basis. I try something. Nope, that one's not working for me. But everyone works a little bit different. But those are some of my favorites. Now I have a mess here, so I'm going to remove a couple of these here.
Question.
Go for it. As I remove these, go for it.
Question. What's the difference between that and like reminders?
So reminders, they're very similar. You mean it with things?
Yeah.
With reminders, you have your folders and you can schedule things out and, things like that. But with things, what I'm able to do, it's more of a project manager. So when I go back into things here, we'll just do a real quick rundown on this. I can create a new area. So let's call this school. So these are things that I need to do for the school. So now I have this area. I'm going to create a new project. I am creating a help desk website. All right, so I got that in there. And now what do I have to do for that? Well, let's see here. I need to add FileMaker Pro to it. I need to do something else to it and something else. And then this one I'm going to work on, tomorrow. And, you can add headers in here. So if I go here and heading, this is website stuff. And this is, what else am I working on? MDM, so iPad stuff. So now I can go and add, let's say this was iPad stuff. I can put that in there and now it's organized. So you can kind of see how it works by organizing your projects. And then, basically anything that's due, this Add FileMaker Pro is going to be in upcoming here. And you're going to see it. Well, I took it out, but you'd see it in that upcoming thing as well. So it is similar. You can use reminders for something like this, but reminders is not necessarily designed for that. So you're going to be jumping through hoops to get it to really work like things. Things is designed as a project manager. So yeah, does that help? It's a great app. It's a paid app, but it's great, and I love it. So, all right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What do we have next here? How can I make messages on my Mac Mini send and receive messages as my iPhone and iPad does? So with this, what you need to do is, if I'm thinking right, go into your Messages app here, and in the Preferences, what you're going to see is iMessage. This is the old name for Messages. It used to be called iMessage. And what you have to do is you have to make sure that Enable Messages in the Cloud is turned on. And you want to make sure that's turned on all of your Macs. On the iPad and the iPhone, it's already on. As long as it's on in iCloud, it's on. On the Mac, you have to turn it on in the app itself. So if I go over to my iCloud settings here on my Mac, And you're going to see Messages is not even in here. But when we go to my iPad, where's my settings here? And we go to iCloud. This is where Messages is. And we can see that that is turned on. In most cases, what happens is it's turned on the iPad and the iPhone, so it's syncing with iCloud. Everything's all working great. But on the Mac, what you need to do is you need to go over to your Messages app and turn it on within the Messages app. It's not within iCloud. It does turn it on in iCloud, but the setting for it itself is in the Messages app. So it's a little, it's probably just because that's where it always was. And then when they came out with the iPad and the iPhone, they decided to put all the settings. I don't know if you ever noticed, but on the Mac, all of the settings for any individual app is located under the app name. You're going to see preferences. It pretty much doesn't matter what I open. This is where the settings are for any app. So this is the settings for the Finder. If I open up Messages, the settings for Messages here is under Messages. If I open up, we'll just open up one more here, Safari. Guess what we're going to see under Safari here? Preferences. It's all, that's very consistent with that. But on the iPad and the iPhone, it's all located within the Settings app.
Dan,
Yeah?
can you go back to Messages, Preferences, and where you enable the iCloud, the Messages in iCloud on your Mac?
Mm-hmm.
Now, down below there, you have checked off 2 different places that you can be reached at.
Mm-hmm.
I have wondered about that. I have lived my life to not get iCloud messages by mistake. So I make sure that my iCloud account is never checked off. And I don't want to get things on my email either, so I don't check off my regular email as well.
Okay.
So I leave those both unchecked. Is that
That could cause a problem. So this has nothing to do with your email. So you need to separate. This is only for Messages, nothing to do with email. And basically what this is, what these 2 things here are how people can reach you in the Messages app. So what you could do, any one of you could send in the Messages app, it has nothing to do with mail or anything else, but in the Messages app, if you were to send me, where you put in the name or whatever, if you were to put in noteboomproductions@me.com, I will get that message. It's only for the Messages app. Most people are going to know how to get a hold of you via your phone number, your cell phone. That's how we relate messages. It's tied to your phone number. Obviously, your Mac doesn't have a phone number. So what you have to do is go to your iPhone and let's see if the microphone's blocking the Face ID. If I go to Messages here, I don't know if it's going to show me here. I have to, text message forwarding.
Yeah, I have those clicked off.
So basically, with all of those off, that's where the disconnects happen. So right now, if someone were to send me a message on my iPhone, I have all these other devices here. The only one it's going to forward to is my MacBook Pro. Well, I have a Mac. I'm working on a MacBook Air. When I go over to here, it's my MacBook Air. If you were to send a message to my iPhone, it would not come to my MacBook Air because I have that turned off. So really what you want to do is and my recommendation is turn all these on. Unless, now what happens, my brother does this. They have a shared iPad that they're sitting on the couch. So he doesn't want all of his messages going to that when his wife is on it. Not that he's trying to hide anything, but, you just don't want to have all that. So that is where you could say, just don't forward it over to my one iPad, which is used as a shared device. But for the most part, you want these all on, so then when you get a message, it doesn't really matter what device you're on. No matter what device you're on, you're going to get that message as long as these are checked and this is checked.
Okay,
When everything's
so
checked,
I
it's
have everything forwarded to all my devices, so that's not a problem on from my
Okay.
phone. That was the most important thing I learned from you at one of these AMAs. But
Yeah.
I can tell you that I don't have my iCloud or my regular email turned on my Mac, and I can send and receive from my Mac.
You
So
can, right? And you
I
can.
can.
You can. Yep. And the only thing is they're not going to be synced. So let's if you're having a conversation with someone on your iPhone and you go to your Mac, that conversation you're going to be able to receive something, but that conversation is not fully going to be there. You're going to be missing parts because it's not syncing.
I got it.
It's not syncing, or I noticed that it comes on my iPhone first and then my Mac maybe a minute later.
Yeah, that's because it's forwarding over. So it goes to the iPhone because you're sending it to yourself. When someone's texting you, my guess is what someone is doing is they're texting it to your phone number, which is your cell phone, your iPhone, and then your iPhone is forwarding it onto your Mac. Now, if it's
Okay, so turn that green and
Yep.
it'll all come together.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, really, what you want to do is in my mind, you want to keep them, as long as they're your devices, keep them all in sync, because then no matter what device you're on, you're going to be able to get back into that conversation or whatever, and not have to worry about it. Mm-hmm.
Right.
This may be where my problem is too, because I used to be able to forward all my stuff from my phone to my iPad and my computer. Then I could delete my individual text threads from different people from my phone to declutter it, but they would stay on my iPad.
Yep,
and
because they're
iPad
not in
and
sync.
my one.
Yep, exactly.
So should I unsync them again so that I can?
If you want to be able to delete individual conversations on individual devices, you don't want to sync them. But just know that you're not going to get the full conversation. But if they're in sync, yeah, it's being that they're in sync, they're if you delete one conversation on one device, being that they're in sync, it's going to delete that conversation on all the devices. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Isn't that kind of like a POP and IMAP email? The
Yeah,
difference out of POP?
exactly.
You keep them on. Yeah. Okay.
You got it exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good to know.
Dan, can I ask a question on
Sure.
messages?
Sure.
How can you stop unwanted messages? Like lots of politicians get your number. Is there a way to block those? I mean, I'm getting 10 to 15 a day. No way to block them.
Not that I think you asked this before. What I need.
I did, and I've tried to do it, and I still can't.
Yeah, because you can add them to a block list, but the problem is they'll send it from a different phone number, and then all this, and you have to add them as a It's just like, I don't know. I don't know. I'll see if I can find something out on that. It's probably a paid service or something that you can do.
My
But
understanding is that with messages, the SMS won't allow. It's going to be sent SMS.
and you can. So SMS. Send as SMS when iMessage is unavailable. So
MMS.
MMS is for multimedia. SMS and MMS are roughly the same thing. We're going way old here. Messages is a different protocol, but so SMS is simple text. It's not any formatting. You put a link in there, it's not going to, it's really simple. Think of old school text messaging. That's what SMS is. Now you want to add a picture to it. Old school again. Back when they had the StarTech, which was a great phone, by the way, Motorola StarTech. If you send a picture, what it would do is it would send it as MMS. They're basically the same thing. It's just one's for media and one's for text.
So there are no tools to, manipulate.
Not that I know of. I'll look into that. I know Frank's asked that before, so I'll see if I can find anything. I haven't really found anything, but I haven't really looked either. So if I find something, I'll let you know. Because I get them. I get them as well. I'm getting a lot in the email. Like, oh my God, you know. But yeah, I'll see if I can find anything.
Dan, can I just ask a quick question about what you were doing with messages? On my Mac, when my messages show, even after I've read my messages on my phone or my iPad, they still show up on my Mac as blue dots, meaning they haven't been read. And I've gone to do where you showed to do the @ symbol and to do sync now, and I've done that, and it still doesn't change the messages to having all to show that they've been read.
Is this consistent, or does it happen randomly?
No, consistent.
You
I'm running Big Sur, but
have you turned? I don't think Big Sur would be the problem. I don't
I
think.
shut my machine off. I close my app.
I would sign. So if we go back to my Mac here, the next thing I would do, because your messages are out there anyway, what I would do is I would sign out and then sign back in. That'd be the next thing. You've turned this off, right? And then turn it back on?
Yes.
Okay. So next thing I would do is sign out and then sign back in, see if that, and let me know if that doesn't work. So then we can figure out something from there. All right. What's next? Is there a command for me to select to have desktop icons, be organized, or things like that? So this is, someone asked about this earlier. So let's go over to my Mac. And we're going to close this here. So I have these icons here, and they're not organized. I can place them anywhere I want. Now, granted, I only have a couple here. Let's go and put a few more on here. So, I just have these random things here. I believe the question is how can I keep this organized? There's a number of different ways that you can keep this organized. First way is you can do it completely manual, which is what this is right here. I can move these wherever I want. So let's say I wanted to have my PDFs in the lower left-hand corner. I need to have my Word documents over here, and installer here, and EPUB over here. Let's see, this is a Word document. But the problem with that is, as you add stuff to your, it gets anything that you add to it, it brings it up here in the upper right-hand corner, and you have to move it. So it's, unless you're really, really organized, this is, there's a lot of ways it could fail. So what you can also do is, on a regular basis, go up to View here, and then you can clean up. So what clean up will do is you're going to see that these are not necessarily aligned to a grid. I believe I have to select them, and now I can clean up, and you can see it just kind of move things and arrange them nicely, but they're still not in any sort of order. So cleanup doesn't really help either unless you really, really pay attention to detail. You also have cleanup by. What this will do, once you select them all, is clean it up by the document type. So now we're starting to get somewhere. Let's say I select them all, and I want to clean them up by kind. Now it's putting all my EPUBs together and all my PDFs together and all that. But the problem with this is I go and add another document. It's not going to keep it in order anymore. So now all of a sudden I have to clean up again. Anytime you have to do anything manual, there's room for error down the road. So you really want this to happen automatically. So the cleanups don't really do anything in my mind. They don't really do anything. They're nice, but hardly ever used. The sort by is where it comes into play. What you can do when you sort by is it will keep it automatically sorted. So when I go to sort by kind, you can see it didn't make any change to it, but if I go and add another file to this, see if I have any, yeah, okay. So let's go and add this PDF here. What it did is it just grouped it with these other PDFs. It's sorting it by PDF. It's sorting it by kind. So that is a nice way. This is the way that I used to keep my desktop organized. sort by, and then I did actually prefer kind, but you could do it by name. There's different, date added. So now basically it's the last one that I added is going to be up here. I use my desktop as a temporary holding pattern, so I like to keep it by kind. But still, if you have a lot of documents here, let's go and double this up. I'm going to duplicate these. And, well, actually, let's just go and duplicate them again. You can see it starts getting pretty messy. It's keeping them organized, but you're still kind of like, where are my PDFs? Where am I? What am I looking at here again? So what I like to do, and this was introduced in, I don't think it was Mojave, it might have been Catalina, a couple of years ago. Stacks. With stacks, what it'll do is it's almost like it's a folder. So when I use stacks, what it's going to do is it's going to stack all of my documents together by whatever I want. So it's going to be by kind in my case. So basically, I go use stacks, and now we can see we have my documents here. I have my PDFs, and then I have, and if I wanted to change it, I could. Group stacks by, I could change this to, by date added and all that. But my favorite, like say, I like it by kind. So now I want to view all of my documents. All you have to do is just click on this. So it's kind of like a folder, but not quite. When I just click on it one time, there's all my PDFs. I click on this again. You can see it has a little arrow. It closes that stack. And now I'm back to where it was. So if you have numbers documents, Excel documents, it's going to group them all by kind. And then all you have to do is like, I know there's a document in there that I want. Well, you just go and look at your documents here without having to look at everything else. So you can narrow it down to just looking at one single thing or one group of things. So that's my favorite way of viewing my desktop is stacks. I go and add it.
Select everything to do that?
What's that?
On your desktop? Do you have to select everything?
No, you don't. Nope. No, if I go, I'll turn this off. And you can see this is how I've seen a lot of desktops work in the past. Everything's just kind of all scattered about. I don't have anything selected. Let's just select one. I have one thing selected here. All I have to do, it doesn't matter if you have 1 or 20 things selected. If you go to use stacks, there just puts them all right in a stack.
It's a great way to hide things from yourself.
Yes, it is.
And then you forget about all of those things that used to be on your computer. It's great.
What
Yep.
if, though, you have a lot of folders that contain all of these things that you've had, like...
It doesn't do anything. If I go and add folders, it doesn't do anything with folders.
Okay, so leave the folders intact?
Yep. You can see it doesn't stack the folders there. And folders work the traditional way. I double click on it, it opens up. A folder is a folder.
Then the other thing is if you want to get them out of the stacks, you just press and tap and hold, and it'll take it right. It'll display all your PDFs out of the. Show them how to open up a PDF stack. There. So that took and opened up all the PDFs that you had stacked together. Or you could do just your photos, or just your Word documents, or just your.
And here's a little trick. So I have them all open. You can see these PDFs all look alike, or photos would all look alike. You're not really sure which photo. I don't know how many of you use Quick Look. It's one of my favorite things on the Mac. If you tap the space bar, it opens up a Quick Look, and without opening up the app. I did not open up the app. You're going to see I'm still in the Finder here. But basically what I'm able to do is go through all of my documents here and see them large. And the one that I want to open, let's say I wanted to open this one here, all I have to do is just go open with preview and it'll open it up, that one document. What's that? Quick Look, yep. It's a space, Quick Look is a space bar. So if I go to documents here and I use Quick Look, so I have this first one selected, all I have to do is just hit the space bar. I can actually see what that document is.
Thank you.
Quick Look is a great feature, and once you use it, you'll find yourself using it a lot. What's that?
Is it only in Monterey, or was it in...
No, it's been around for several years. Yep. Yeah, if you're using an older OS, you'll be fine.
The nice thing is you click on the document, then you hit the space bar to open it, but you just hit the space bar again to close it.
Yeah, hit the space bar to
Now
close it.
people
Yep,
exit out.
yep. All right, let's see what else we have here. What are the different options for saving a document on the iPad? So this is where I had to do some research. Like I said, Kevin, I'm still trying to understand it a little bit better. I want to get it to the point where I understand it and explain it well. And ironically, when I don't have Word, so I had to look it up, and that's when I found even Microsoft has a video on how to save a document on the iPad because it's just different. Now, the big thing is when you open up a document, let's go and open up Pages here. Basically, the way that the iPad works, and Mac has worked probably about 4 or 5 years, and I think it works the same way on Windows too. You no longer have to save a document. They automatically save. So there is really no save anymore. And if I go back, I know you're talking about the iPad, but I'm going to show you something here. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to my Mac here. For people that like the old way of doing things, like I want to save it, I don't want it to auto-save. If I go back to my Mac here and we go to General, on the Mac, this isn't available on the iPad, but on the Mac, there is actually an option to turn that off. Ask to keep changes when closing documents. So when I turn this on and I open up a Pages document, let's go and open up a new document here. Let's go School Newsletter. I'm going to make a change here. School. You're going to see I have a little red dot there. That means that there are changes. It didn't save it automatically. So when I quit out of this, it's going to ask me, do you want to save changes? This is the old way of saving. So even the Mac, they got rid of that, and you have to turn it on by default. If I go to File here, I have Save. But again, that is not on by default, and we're all getting used to the idea of, like Google Docs or anything that's just, there is no save. It's just automatically saved. So that's basically how the iPad works. I make a change here, it just saves it. So the way that you get around, you can't really save it, but when you save as, on the Mac, there is save as, and then they changed it to duplicate. So I'm going to go back to my Mac here. I'm sorry I have to go back to my Mac, but I think I'm hoping that it helps explain a little bit. Let's go and change my preferences. Yeah. But the iPad, they took all this away. That's why I'm kind of showing you on the Mac. So now this thing's going to auto-save. Also, you're going to see I have duplicate. I don't have save as here, which is what the old duplicate was. You want to save this as something else. Basically, you're duplicating it. And Apple, in their infinite wisdom, decided that, well, you're not saving it as something, you're just duplicating it. This caused a lot of confusion years ago. And here's what you can do on the Mac. I hold down the Option key, guess what I get? So now you can't do that on the iPad.
On Windows systems, you have that option.
Yeah.
I do. I just turn the save as. I mean, it's nice to have a feature because if something happens, it saves automatically.
Right.
What the problem is with the iPad is that when you want to go ahead and so it's saving automatically.
It's saving automatically.
So, but you've taken a document and you want to make a change to it, and you want to call it something else. You don't want to call it the same document. You just want to .1, .2, .3, whatever. Okay, and it automatically says, "Do you want to make a duplicate?" And my thoughts are, "No, I don't want to make a duplicate. I just make."
You want to rename it.
And it doesn't give you that option.
Right.
Exactly.
Nope.
It does give it to you in a way, but it's a roundabout way. I think it only happens when you hit save, and then you have to hit something else, I forget, and then it says, well, do you want to move it? So you
Yeah.
have to click move, and when you hit move, then it gives you that option. And it's that's what's really kind of confusing about it, and I don't understand why they just can't have save as, and if that way it gives you the option, oh, I want to save it as something else.
Well, here, a good example is, I want to save this or duplicate it or move it or whatever. What I have to do is I have to go to share. That doesn't make sense to me. What am I doing? Sharing this? No.
Right,
I'm
exactly.
saving it. Well, lo and behold, there's save. So I don't have an answer for you. It's Apple. And, the funny thing is this is the great thing about working at a school. We, as the older generation, grew up with save as, this, that, and the other. Kids have no concept of that. It's just nuts. And, Apple is, with the iPad, I'm assuming that they're just catering towards that. And, I have copy here, but how did I get here? I had to share it. There is no save on the iPad. It's now, if I want to rename this saved it into my documents here, so it's on my iPad. Being that I'm looking at this is a like a Finder window on the Mac. It's called Finder. On Windows, it's Windows Explorer, not Internet Explorer, but Explorer, where you do all your file management. So what I can do is control click on this, and there I have rename. So I can, but you have to do it. You don't do it through the app. You do it through, yes, you don't do it through the app. You do it through this browser here. Basically, Windows Explorer, or on the Mac, it'd be Finder. You're going to see I also have here, when I control click, get that secondary menu, I have copy. I can move it. So these are the traditional things that we're used to.
Talking about on the Mac, not the iPad, right? Because there is no Finder on the.
Right. No, and this is on the iPad. It's like it's like the traditional Finder. On the Finder, we have copy, move, rename. I can duplicate it, and you're going to see I have all of that here. But I'm not in the document itself. I'm actually in the, like a file browser. I can.
And how did you get to that?
So there are two different ways to do that.
Was that share? Did you use that?
Nope.
On the share?
Nope. So when let's say I have this document open here, right? I'm working on this document. I want to rename it or whatever. Basically, what you have to do is you have to close it. And how do you close it?
See, but that's it. But you don't want to close it because you're afraid it'll close and forget. You'll lose what you changed.
Well, I will say I do all of my editing on the iPad for the recap, and like I say, I'm becoming a big iPad fan. I've not had any issue with it losing stuff, but I know where you're coming from, and there's no other way of getting around it. I close it by going to Documents, and now I have my traditional tools. That's the only way you're going to get to these tools. Well, I shouldn't say that. I could, so I open it up, right? I don't have to necessarily close it if I go to the Files app. So now I go to my Files app here, and I have to find where it was saved, which is another, big deal. This is going to be in my Pages probably. And now what I can do is control click on any one of these, and I have all those options. So you can do it through the Files app. But the key is, where did you save it originally? And that's, that goes along even with the Finder or Windows Explorer. I mean, I've seen it for years. People just save an Excel document. They don't pay attention where they saved it to, and now they can't find it, kind of thing.
Well, you could find it in usually open most recent.
Yep. I could go to Recents.
Have the document.
And you could also, let's see here, I can't really, okay, so here's something, Kevin. When I click on, this is coming over from the Mac. So on the Mac, we could do this for a while. We click on the title name and we'd have different options. I didn't realize that I could do it here. I have the title up here. I want to rename it. If I click and hold, or
The problem with that, and I think I may have seen it before. The problem with that is, so it's saying to give you the option to rename it. I don't want to rename this file. Because what it is I'm afraid I'm renaming one that I just made a change to. Because see, I don't know that I've made a copy, and that's the problem.
Right.
I want to know that I've made another one. So in other words, when I make it, I wanna know that I can rename it before I do whatever I wanna do, save it, move it, whatever, and that's, you know, because that just seems, and maybe I'm kinda different, but it seems logical.
No,
But it
you're
seems
not.
logical, right? You do something, you logic, you know, okay, now that I've done it, then I wanna go ahead and change, now I'll save it. So.
You'd probably share and copy. But where did it copy it to?
I wanna say there's a different.
Well, okay, so, okay, yeah, I guess maybe I'm not understanding. You don't want to copy
Because
it.
see what actually happens when you click that copy, then what you do is it comes with well, at least sometimes, it comes with the name, the old name, and it says copy on it.
Well,
Okay,
let's back up. You don't want to copy it, right?
Right.
And you want to rename it.
Right.
But you want to make sure that it's saved before it's renamed.
No, why?
Okay, then why don't you just go up here and rename it? You don't want to copy it.
It looks like it's gonna rename traditional novel.
It is.
I don't want the original. It looks like it's gonna because I don't know that I don't know that I've created another document with changes yet. Remember, I've just done that, so I can't save it. Okay, so I don't know that the changes have been saved, so I don't wanna rename it because I wanna keep the original document as it was under its original name.
So you want to duplicate it.
I don't wanna duplicate it because I just made changes.
But you don't want to save it. I think that's where our disconnect is. You're saying you want to save it, but you don't want to overwrite your old one, which means you have to duplicate it. Right?
Yes.
It comes down to versioning.
Rename the duplicate.
It comes down to versions.
Right, maybe, right.
In collaboration where we end up having to have conventions with file location standardization and file naming, because we ended up with draft 1, draft 3,
Right.
draft 9, final.
I've had plenty of those, yes. So,
Dan,
yeah.
where does it, in an iPad, when the perfect world comes, I will forego a Mac using Photoshop and use an iPad Pro with 10, which will duplicate what I'm doing now on a Mac. Where am I saving that image that I'm working on? Into files or folders?
That's a whole nother, which we've talked about. It's up to the app, really. So what happens is when you load up Photoshop, and I don't have Photoshop on here, so I can't speak with 100% certainty, but I'm pretty sure this is how it works. When you load up an app, what it will do automatically is create on the iPad here the folders. I never created HP Smart here. When I first opened up HP Smart, it created it. So that's where it puts all the files by default.
So that would be a master folder, and then I can do subfolders just like I.
Yep, so I can open this up. Yep, exactly. Again, I didn't create these. And if you go to iCloud Drive, I didn't create this numbers folder. Apple did.
Okay.
I didn't create the Pixelmator folder. Apple did. So, or Pixelmator did. I'm sorry. You know.
Sure. So obviously you can only save to the amount of space you have. So you're going to buy one whopping big iPad.
Right, or a lot of these apps, what they work with iCloud, and basically what happens then is once you sync it with iCloud, Pixelmator was probably created on my iPad, but as soon as I said I use iCloud Drive, it moved it from the iPad over into iCloud Drive, and then you have all kinds.
Adobe also gives you a cloud.
Yeah, right. Yeah, something like yep. Mm-hmm.
But that's a little bit of a learning curve and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But yeah, I look forward to that day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully iPad OS 16. But back with Kevin, I think, like I say, I think the disconnect there is maybe I'm not following you, because it's you have a document, you want to rename it, but you don't want to duplicate it, but when you rename it, you don't want it to be the same.
I have a document. I frequently have documents,
Yeah.
but I want to make a change to the document.
Okay.
And maybe it's fairly significant. So I want to be confident that I'm going to start with my template, my original document, make some changes, and then save it. Not move it, not duplicate it, not whatever, save it. Then I know that I've got the original. And again, you probably remember, I come basically from the Windows world.
Yeah.
And if you're doing Windows or if you're doing Word or you're doing Excel or whatever, you have the option to save as. So I know that I've done my changes, hit save as, I'm going to now rename it. So I already know that I've got the original because that's under a different name. But now I've got the one I just created.
Which is duplicating it. You're duplicating it.
It's duplicating it, but see, the word duplicate to me means, oh, I'm duplicating the original.
No, you're duplicating anything that you've changed. The changes, because it saves, the thing what you have to, maybe this is where we need to go with this, what you need to do is trust that the app, the iPad is saving, it is.
Yeah, that's demanding a lot. You know, when you're working with some documents that are important to you.
Right.
So that's why save as. Okay, but okay, thanks.
Yep.
So
And when you use
appreciate your-
duplicate and then it says copy, because it'll say the same thing, if you go right up there, there's a little caret arrow there. You click down and then you can rename even that particular document to say version 1, version 2, or whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, you have the ability to rename. It's just a question of when you're doing the duplicate, you have to understand that it's going to do. If I duplicate something, that means I take the original and I duplicate it. Okay?
But it's not going to be your,
I'm working with the original, but I've made changes. So if I hit duplicate, it's
By
duplicating the original, or it's duplicating.
It's-
By default,
Hey,
it's
guys,
going to add the word
I hate to
copy
interject.
to the file name.
I hate to interject.
By default, when
Spending
you
on
say
moment.
duplicate, it's going to add the word copy to the end of the file name. So it's trying to protect you right away by putting that extra word there at the end.
Right, and
I think
thought-
Apple shot ourselves in the foot because longtime users
Jeez.
were very used to using the save as command.
right.
Dan, can we move along to another
And when
question?
Yeah.
and then when that changed, that convention changed, it got more confusing like it is now.
Yeah.
20 minutes, I'm good.
I appreciate. I gotta go too, Dan. Just one quick thing is, did you look into the report when I'm on like your website right now? I can't go to 0. I can't drop it all the way down to. one.
No, I
If you
forgot
could
about
just
that.
Make a comment and I'll log into your recording later.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
All right.
All right.
So this was the other question that Kevin had. Can you change the font size on notes? And it's simple. No, you can't. You can't like say I need it to be 12 point or 8 point or 14 point. Sorry it took so long on that, but I'm getting. Kevin has asked these questions a lot, and I'm starting to get an understanding of what I think there's a disconnect in our understanding what he needs to do and all that. So I have a better idea. So sorry about that. All right, so that's notes. What else do we have here? Fran asked if she's getting a new computer, and if she has to erase that MacBook Pro, being that it's tied to her iPad and anything else, will it also erase those? And short answer is no, it won't. You can erase that, and it will not affect any of your other devices. You can erase an iPhone, it will not affect any other iPhones, any other iPads. Erase a Mac, it doesn't affect. Yep. It's only going to erase that particular device. So.
You know when I took your suggestions and turn these things in, trade them in.
Yeah.
So I just today got a big list, like 4 pages long. This is what you have to do, and it said it gives you all those instructions. If I have any problems, can I call you?
Yeah. Yeah. Just email me, and yeah, we can. Yep.
Call you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. how do I get Safari to open in full screen like it used to? So I believe what Art was talking about is when you're in an app, I'm just going to go to Safari because that's what he was talking about. And you open it up in full screen, and the way that you do that is just by clicking on the green dot here. It goes into full screen. And when you quit out, it'll remember this state. So don't put it back into windowed mode. If I put it back into windowed mode and I quit, it's going to open back up in windowed mode. But if I go full screen and now I quit, so I'm no longer in Safari, and we go back, well, come on. It worked for me earlier. Let me ask to keep changes, close windows. Yep. Do I have to have it on a website? Okay, so now I'm on a website. I wonder if it remembers what website you're on. This worked for me earlier. Really, it did.
Used to be in the general studies.
Huh. Let's try one more thing here. Oh, maybe it did because it was in full screen. Okay.
Is it in Safari settings?
No. So I have Safari closed here. I open it back up. There it is. Close it. Let me get it back to normal. I think I know what was going on. So most people have it set up because they don't mess around with this. Close windows and always keep. Okay. So I have Safari closed. You're going to see there's no black dot there. And there, when I open it up, I was opening up to, it was to a different space. We talked about this a few weeks ago. We have different spaces here. So it made it look like I wasn't opening up in full screen. So let me open up a new window here. So that's in full screen, that's in full screen, and let's put that there. So now I have one in full screen and one not. If I were to quit, it's going to give the illusion that it didn't open up in full screen. But when I swipe over to the right, oh, I don't know what their behavior is with this. It should, if I quit, so we have the black dot. When I quit out of here and open it back up, all right, short answer is I don't know. It looks like it's decided. There's got to be some behavior that I'm not familiar with. Maybe it has to be on a website. Now I'll quit. I open it back up. We're going to do one other thing here. I didn't want that. System preferences, general, close windows. We'll try that. Open it back up. That might be the trick. Okay.
Not to close windows.
Yep. So what I'm messing around with there, I usually like to take a quick mess around before I try to explain it because I don't want to explain something that really doesn't mean anything. So this setting here, and this is in your system preferences, this close windows when quitting an app, basically what that will do when you turn that on is when you quit an app, it's going to close all of the windows. And when you reopen that app back up, in this case Safari, being that you closed all the windows, guess what it's going to do? Not reopen them. So you're not going to get that window back in full screen. So what you have to do is you have to make sure that this is unchecked. And now when I close out of Safari, it opens up any old windows. In this case, this window here. Works the same way in if I go to Pages, let's see here, Pages, and I have this Untitled 4 open, I quit. When I open up Pages again, what it's going to do is open up that Untitled 4. If this was in full screen, I quit. When I go to Pages here, guess what it's going to do? Open up that document in full screen. So the key is to making this work is go to your System Preferences, and then under General, you have Close Windows when quitting an app. So that should fix that problem. All right, what else do we have here? I know we're getting towards the end here. I see several password entries for the same account. So we'll go back over to the Mac here. Let me, my cursor highlighting thing wasn't working. No. Okay, we're good now. So we're back at the Mac here, and I'm going to go to Safari, and under the Preferences, let's go close this window, we have a spot where we can manage all of our different passwords. We can also access this in the System Preferences if you're using macOS Monterey. So basically what this will do is allow you to view all of your passwords. So I'm going to enter my thing here. So here's all my passwords. And I double check to make sure that when I click on one of these, you can't see my passwords, and you can't. But I'm going to show you what may be happening when you have a duplicate. So let's go to, let's see here, where was one where I had duplicates? Was it Google? Did I have duplicates with, well, I have different accounts here. But here we go, Dan Wasink at Mac and Dan Wasink at Mac. So here's two of them right here. So when I click on this, what I'm able to do is see what the username, what the associated username is with it. If I click on this, I can see the password. And down here, I can see all of the websites that this is associated with. My, excuse me, my guess is your second account is going to be associated with different accounts or different websites. It's about that time. I'm losing my voice again. So what I would say is look at both of these, just go side by side here, and I'm using the arrow key on my keyboard. And you can see it's associated with a different, even though it's the same website, it's still in the password, in Apple's password keychain, it's looking at it as a different website. So that's why you may have duplicates. You shouldn't have any direct duplicates. I went through my list here a little bit, and I didn't have any direct duplicates, but I had something that looked like, oh, this looks, but when you really look at it, you're going to see that they're different here. Yeah. So here.
Dan, is there a way to print all of your passwords out of Keychains?
What you can do, I believe, and this is new in Monterey, I don't think you can do this on older ones. If you go down to the bottom, you can see export. And you can export these out as a comma-separated value file. Not to get on the geeky side, but it's a CSV file, which means double-click on it, it'll open up in Numbers or in Excel, and it's a standard spreadsheet. You could print that out. But I don't think you can do that. This is new in macOS Monterey. I'm pretty sure that's new in macOS Monterey. So you might not have that option in older versions of OS. Let's see here. What else do we have? Do not seem to be getting my notification calls, etc. on my Apple Watch. Yeah, this is, I don't have a clear answer on this. I looked it up, and basically I'm going to pull up Apple's website for this, notifications on the Apple Watch. Should pull up here.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Go for it.
The true question I have is the fact that my watch and my phone, when I have notifications and I go through the settings in my watch app, I don't hear my phone ring when my phone doesn't make a sound, and my messages don't make a sound when I'm wearing
my watch. Yep, that is
the vibration and the notification on my watch and I have turned off Mirror My iPhone. I have turned off.
I
Annoying
don't
Custom.
think, and I read that in your email. I'm sorry I missed that, and it clicked in my head like, oh, I think I know what she's talking about, because my brother complains about the same thing. He wants his phone to ring along with his Apple Watch, because he can't feel the haptic tap. Let me look into that. I'm sorry, I saw that in there, and I got hooked on this. And
That's okay. That's what I was asking. Yeah.
okay, so
Appreciate it.
yep. I will see what I can find, because like I say, my brother asks the same thing, so that'll be an easy one to remember. All right, how do I get Siri to pronounce a contact name correctly? So with this, you can use, I looked this up, and people are like, just tell Siri to pronounce the name right. And it's all cute and all that, but as some of you heard at the very beginning, Siri and I, we're good friends, but we're not, BFFs. And basically, you can tell Siri, oh, you didn't pronounce that right, and then she's going to come back and say, she'll say it like 4 or 5 different ways, and then you have to go and listen to them, and then you say this is a correct one, and if that isn't right, still right, it's not easy. There's an easy way to do this. In the Contacts app, and you can do this on the Mac, the iPad, and the iPhone. I'm going to show you on the Mac, but you can do it on any device, really. Let's go with Beth here, and let's just say, and I did test this out, she's not pronouncing my last name correctly. Siri isn't. Well, it all depends on where you are in the United States, but I pronounce it as Wasink. Some people pronounce it as Wasink or Wasnik. This, that, and the other. So what you can do here when you go and edit it, let me start over. So I'm looking at Beth here, and when you go down to edit here, what you can do is add different fields. So these are just different fields that you can add. When you go to the plus here, there are 2 fields that you can add. They're phonetic spellings. So when I scroll here, more fields, and you're going to see phonetic first name and last name. So now what I can do is I can say, well, it's really W-O, phonetic spelling. So, spell it like it sounds. So I go wa, sink. Now, when I did that, Siri pronounced her name right, or at least in my mind, pronounced it right. So basically, all you have to do is just go and add the phonetic spelling fields, and then type in the name, the phonetic name. And if you're not sure what the phonetic, I just did a quick search for phonetic names here. Let's do this again. This came from CMU, but basically here is how you would spell it phonetically. If you want to have R, A-R, obviously, or aw, like thought, so A-W. So just get the phonetic spelling and spell it how you think, how it should be sound phonetically. And then Siri will actually pronounce the name right. That's the best way I found to do it. Don't try to correct Siri. It's cute, and it'll work sometimes. But, there's nothing like just typing in the phonetic name and boom, she'll get it every time that way. So,
Actually, wasn't it easier in this iPhone 7 and 8 because all you had to do was pronounce it yourself and she would imitate it.
And you still can do that. Actually, it doesn't even, I tried that, and I don't even know if they do that anymore because it was hit and miss with that. This way, you're guaranteed to get it right. So if I go to my phone here, and let's see here. So if I get Siri right here. What is my wife's last name? Well, anyway, it's Siri settings. I have to go and tell her who my wife is. But she came back and she's like, you can change that in the Contacts app. It didn't even offer that where.
That option. Yeah.
So I don't know if Apple took that out, but it went straight to go to the Contacts app and add this field.
Dan, how did you make the field set up? How did you get the field to set up for the phonetic spelling?
So we'll do it on my phone since I have it pulled up here. If I go to Contacts, and we'll go to Beth, and we have all of her information. Down at the very bottom here, we have, oh, I'm sorry, you have to go to edit in the top. Edit. Now what I'm able to do is add a field, and you have pronunciation on the iPhone. It's called pronunciation. On the Mac, I think it's called phonetic, but basically pronunciation, first name. I just add that in there and I type it in here, what it is. So here I would just type in the WOH and she'll get it right. All right. Let's see here. Moving my Safari history. This one I didn't have an answer for, and then all of a sudden it came to me a couple hours before. Pretty simple. So what this person wants to do is move not their bookmarks, but their history. So they want to move their history from one Mac to another. It might be a different operating, maybe going from Catalina to Mojave or something like that. But basically, how do I move my history? Not the bookmarks, because you can export your bookmarks. Well, actually, it turns out this comes with my thing of how to work, with file databases and things like that. Export, import, import, export. What you can do is import into Chrome. So download a third browser, or a second browser like Google Chrome or Brave or DuckDuckGo. When you open that up, what you're able to do is import all of your bookmarks from Safari. Well, in addition to importing those bookmarks, it's also going to import all of your history. It grabs everything from Safari and puts it into Google Chrome. Okay, perfect. Now you go to your other computer, and let's see, you could turn syncing on, go to the other computer, and when you go to Safari, what you're able to do is import from, I did have it there. Let me try this again. Maybe I have to. You have import HTML file. Where did it? Share, export. It was there. Import from. Let me look at, all right, let's see here. Google export. Wait, we go Safari. Import bookmarks from Chrome. File, import from Google Chrome. So I go Safari, File, import from. Oh, I don't have Google Chrome on this computer. That's why. I did it on my one that's managing all this. So if you put Google Chrome on there, you'll be able to import it from Google Chrome, and then all your history will be there. So essentially, you need to move it into Google Chrome, sync Google Chrome, and then when you're on your other device, you can import it from Google Chrome again. So you're just moving all that data around with a couple different ways. So that's...
Yeah, I started to try that, but I thought, well, now that sounds a little backwards, but I'll give it a shot.
Okay, give it a shot and let me know if it worked. I believe that's really all you have to do. You're not going to hurt anything by importing and exporting that, so you're not going to lose anything, I would say.
I always thought that the reason that Apple did not let you do that in Apple was because of privacy. And the minute you do that, you're giving all your information about your websites and everything else to Google, which you may not want to do.
Yeah, but you could. Trade-off. You are, but yep. Trade-off.
It does work. It does work exactly like you said it did. I went to my
Safari
and it's an expert from Firefox.
Cool. Yep. Yeah, it depends. You have to install the browser.
Is there some way to distinguish the history as opposed to having to pass the bookmarks over?
Well, I believe it does. Everything I read said history to it. It says it does your bookmarks and history.
Okay, so you can't split them up.
Yeah, it doesn't split them up, it'll put it as history. So if you export your bookmarks, it only does your bookmarks. But when you import, let's say you open up Chrome and you say you want to import the bookmarks from Safari, it imports your bookmarks and history. Export only does the bookmarks. Import actually does everything. So whatever, at least from what I read, that's the way it works. Yep. Time machine errors. Unmount disk. to me that, and I'm still working with Chris, she's not here tonight, but, to me that restart the computer. And sometimes you'll just have to in Time Machine, you can forget the disk and then re-add it back in. So what I would do is go to, if you have to do this a lot, this is what we're running into with Chris, is she has to do this every couple of weeks, so there's something else that's going on. But basically, you go to Time Machine here, and if you click on Select Disk, you can remove, so if I click on this, I can remove that disk, and then I would just add it back in, and in a lot of cases that'll fix it. Sometimes you just have to disconnect it and connect it. But before that, what I would do is restart the computer. Just restart the computer. Time Machine, it can be a little flaky. It's good, but it's actually great, but it's not necessarily perfect, and sometimes you just have to do a restart. So.
And you would do that for any external drive that
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't boot up,
Yep, correct. Unplug the drive and plug it back in sometimes, and truly just, they yell at me at the school. They're all about, when you're on a Mac, you have to eject it by clicking on it and then right click on it and this, that. I'm lazy and I just unplug it. And that little error comes up and says, you may lost some data. I've never lost any data, and I've had discussions at the school with the other two geniuses. I don't agree with that they're geniuses on this one, but yeah.
So, but if it does says force eject,
Uh-huh.
and force it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, it's basically just pulling. Yep. I don't know the last time. I shouldn't say this. I don't know the last time that I actually unmounted a disk. I just pop it out.
I mean, we did that in the Windows world all the time. You just
Yeah,
yank it,
you just yank it. Yep.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mhm.
That's interesting to know. Now,
Yep.
if you should yank it, though, you're not going to get it booted back in unless you do a restart.
Well, yeah, and if the idea with that is, let's say it is doing a backup, or I don't know, or you're in a file or whatever. I mean, they're just telling you that you didn't close it down properly, and you might have some change. There might, or it could damage the drive. Again, I've never seen it, never,
All right.
and I've been doing that for years. So,
All right. That was my
but don't tell anyone. All right, please explain the locking of iCloud notes. I know we're getting to the end here now. With notes, what you can do is lock your notes here. And it's pretty simple how it works. So I have a note here, and if I want to lock it, you're going to see I have the lock icon here. And basically, when you lock it, what it does is you can't lock individual notes. Let me rephrase that. It's Control, and it's not allowing me to notes. All iCloud. There we go. So here I can lock it, and you're going to see now. Let's. So I'm just going to call this Apple, and Apple. Set password. Hint is strongly. Yeah, I don't need a hint. It's Apple. So now this one note it's unlocked right now, but it has a lock on it. And let's go and add a lock to this one here. Lock it. You're going to see it doesn't ask me for a new password. So all of your locked notes are tied to the same password. So you can't have a separate password on individual notes. So that's number one. Also, when you unlock one note, it unlocks all of them. So you're going to see that this note is unlocked and this note is unlocked. If I go unlock them, let's go, let's see here. If I go unlock this, close all locked notes, you're going to see that that is locked and this one is locked. When I unlock one, it unlocks them all. So let's go and unlock this one here, Apple. That is now unlocked, but also this is now unlocked. So you can have locks on individual notes, but the lock is all tied together. You lock one note, it'll lock all of the notes that have a lock on them, or it'll close them, I guess you could say. When you open up that lock, it unlocks all of the notes that have a lock on them. So it's individual. What's that?
But you have to use the same password, right?
You have to use the same password. Yep, they're all tied to the same password. Mm-hmm.
And the password isn't saved anywhere, so if you forget that password, you're, as we say, shit out of luck.
You got it exactly. So yes, I skipped through that little dialog box there, but Apple does kind of say that. Don't forget the password, and I skipped a hint. Unless you know what password you're using, put a hint on that. Absolutely, because this is not tied to anything else, and if you forget that password, those are
Yeah, it's not
gone.
a keychain.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It doesn't make sense that you can't lock an individual note.
Yeah.
As opposed to all of them. That to me is not intuitive at all.
Yeah, that's why I kind of figured that's where what this was okay. You can't have individual passwords on individual locks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. How do I back up to iCloud my external drive? Can I? Short answer: no. iCloud Drive, you cannot back up external drives to. iCloud Drive iCloud Drive is not even a backup, let's just say. It will back up your iPad and your iPhone, but on a Mac, it is not a backup. It's a syncing. I like to consider it a syncing thing. You're syncing your photos, you're syncing your notes, you're syncing your contacts, all that. Inadvertently, being that they are synced, they are also backed up. But that doesn't mean it is a backup. It doesn't back up your Mac, and you can't have it back up definitely can't have it back up an external drive. So you're going to have to use another utility for that, such as Time Machine or Carbon Copy Cloner or something like that. So.
Isn't it more for retrieving a file, like one particular file that you might have lost a while ago? It's not, as you say, we use these little babies here to back up the important stuff.
Yep.
And it also doesn't back up your email.
Correct.
A friend of mine found out that the hard way.
Yep.
You cannot retrieve email sometimes.
Yep. Because email, much like iCloud, is exactly right. Email is tied to the server. So all your notes are at Apple, and all your email is at Apple or Google or Microsoft or whatever you use. Mm-hmm.
Dad, didn't you say that last week that if you're going to Time Machine, you must have the app open in order to get to you can go back and look at your emails?
Well, yeah, and that didn't work. I meant to correct that. It doesn't work that way. I did some, after that thing, I couldn't get it to work during the AMA, and now I know why, because I tried it afterwards and it doesn't work. So, no, you can't. Exactly, your emails are. But your emails are on your server, they're tied to your server, which is probably why you can't do that anyway. So, yeah, it doesn't work that way with emails.
But it used to.
I believe it used to, yeah. I don't know what happened. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we have an external hard drive attached to the new Mac Mini, and we're going to put only things from Photoshop that we're working on, and don't want them necessarily, can we do a Time Machine and the external hard drive?
So a Time Machine will do is it will back up any external hard drives. So when I go to my Mac here, let's close this. And you go to, I don't have any external drives connected to this computer, but I'm going to show you where you'll see that. Under Options, this is where the external drives will, what you can do is you can exclude a hard drive, an external hard drive, from being backed up. What'll happen here is if you have a Time Machine backup, that Time Machine backup will be in here because you can't have a backup of your backup. So it automatically adds it to this exclusion list. So by default, when you plug in an external hard drive to your Mac, it will automatically back that external hard drive to Time Machine. You can exclude it if you want by going in here. But yes, just leave it alone. And if you go to Options, and as long as that Photoshop hard drive isn't in this list, it's going to be backed up. So just make sure it's not in this list. Mm-hmm.
But I don't keep that drive on all the time.
That's fine. Yep.
So it'll still, I'll have to look at that.
Yeah. Yep. If you don't have it plugged in all the time or whatever, the next time you plug it in, when your Mac does a time machine, it'll back everything that you've changed up from that external drive. It doesn't have to be plugged in all the time. So just know that it might not have the latest backups in time machine because you haven't plugged it in. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you are right. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
You plug the Photoshop hard drive in one USB or USB, and then you plug in one separate time machine.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. You got it. What's the best way to submit? I know these are the last two questions. Best way to submit questions. Right now it's email. I might add a form on my site. I'm kind of thinking about that, but right now it's just email. I do really like the idea with these AMAs. Submit the question so I can do a little bit of review, like what I did here. I'm still working. If anybody has any suggestions, I'd appreciate anything like that as well. So, and then the last one is one more after this. So this was a fault with the plugin that I use for the calendar. It should work now, and I submitted a bug thing to the events calendar, who manages all my calendars, for the events and all that, and they just emailed me back today. I submitted it a week ago. And they came back to me today and said, yeah, we found a bug. I found a bug, they're working on it.
Asked me to subscribe to it.
Yeah, I'm like, I shouldn't have to subscribe. I noticed the same thing too. But I changed my event page a little bit, and now you shouldn't. It seems like the new one.
Just delete that or unsubscribe, and then go back to your event page and have it put it on my calendar?
Yeah, so here I'll just do it on my Mac here. And we'll go
when I did it today.
Yeah. So here I change this up a little bit. So let's say you want to add this one on the Mac. Basically, here it is, Apple Calendar. It downloads it. And I want to add this. Yep. Hit OK. It just added it to my calendar on the iPad and the iPhone, so it's no longer subscribing. So that was you discovered a bug, and I discovered it last week actually myself, and I think it was Fran that kind of alerted it to me. So I did a little investigation. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I apologize, but I thought that the way to submit the questions was in chat. I had two short questions I'm waiting for in chat.
Let's see here.
You could just look at them real quick.
Yeah.
If they're quick, I don't mind waiting until next week.
If circle and point, let's see here. If I use my computer, good database app. Is this Jerry?
Yeah, free one. I saw the one you recommended was about $100 a year.
Yeah, Tapform's 5. I'm going to save these, copy it. I'll look into that. I don't know everything off the top of my head, but I'll look into that because I am a database nut. Work with a local college. Speak the name in email. Can I set up a shortcut word so I don't have to use type or say? Yes, you can. This one I can do real quick because I got one more question. What he's talking about is a shortcut. So basically, if you have a long name, what do you do? How can you type a shortcut? If you go to your system preferences on the Mac, and this is available in the iPad and the iPhone as well, if you go to the Settings app and go to Keyboard. So here I'm in System Preferences, and I go to Keyboard. Whoops, you're not seeing me. Sorry. So I'm in my System Preferences and Keyboard. You're going to see text, and here's how all you have to do it. Just click on the plus here. Type in what you want to type. So let's say this is a long school name, LSN. And here I go, long school name. So now when I type in LSN, so let's just open up Safari, LSN. It just typed out long school name.
What about speaking it?
I don't know if that works with speaking. I don't know. I don't do much with speech. I'm going to be given someone brought up an idea of accessibility, so I've been playing around with accessibility type stuff. I want to create more lessons on accessibility. So I don't really play around with speech too much, but I'm just playing around with it. So maybe I'll find something with that. Yep. The last question, Steve, I believe. Who am I rooting for the Super Bowl? Well, most of us probably know that one. Go Rams. My nephew's playing for them, so of course we gotta root for the Rams. Let's go.
Are you guys going to be there?
No, we're too low on the totem pole for that. So, but we are going to be going to, Des Moines. Beth has family over there, and we're going to be going to, I'm sure they'll have a Super Bowl party, so we're going to be with family, and it's Beth's side of the family. It's her brother's son that plays, so yeah, it'll be good. So,
Thank you for your time tonight.
Sure, no problem. I'm going to skip through the Q&A. This is getting long. And if I will say, of course, find more stuff on my site. Blah 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 blah. We all know that. For most of us, know that. And if anyone has, my classes I like to try to keep down to an hour and a half. Sometimes I'm glad that these are getting more popular, and I'm glad that I'm starting to organize myself a little bit more. But this is where I ask for your help. If anyone has any suggestions on how I can shorten these up. I know I get a little long-winded with some people, yeah, any suggestions? I'd like to keep these at about an hour and a half, and 2 hours. You can see my voice starts to go out a little bit. I don't mind it, but I'd like to keep them at an hour and a half. So I'm open to suggestions.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you. Yep. So on that note,
Go to your suggestion. You go to your Apple Watch and you say, set an alarm for 6.
Yep. I could set it up where my computer just shuts down.
There you go.
Is Fran still here? I was going to say I bought a keyboard for myself. I'm going to start tinkering with the keyboard a little bit. I took piano lessons 30 plus years ago, so I just want a new hobby. Yeah. But anyway,
Dan,
yeah.
This is Frank.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you have a topic.
Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Did we agree for the topic that we're going to do on the 12th or whatever that date was? I forget.
Is this for Naples?
No, this is for Scout, the Suburban Chicago Musicians Group.
Oh, no. Did we come up with anything for that? Actually, I'm going to stop recording here. So thanks, everyone. I'm not going to hang up, but thanks, everyone. Find more stuff if you're watching this at a later date. Find more stuff on my site, blah, 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 blah. Thank you.